You know the old joke about Trump learning how to walk on water, and his critics would say that's because he's too stupid to know how to swim? I'm starting to think that is absolutely correct when it comes to some of these initiatives and projects and plans that he is hatching for the United States of America. Alcatraz. Why would anybody care if he reopens Alcatraz? Why would anybody push back against that? But push back against it they are. CNN, Trump's order to reopen Alcatraz is the perfect metaphor for his second term. It's a quintessentially Trumpian idea, locking down offenders in tiny cells on, I'm reading this from CNN.com. I swear to you, this is not the Babylon Bee. CNN.com. Locking down offenders in tiny cells on an island surrounded by swirling, murderous currents would feed Donald Trump's craving for macho spectacle. They literally wrote a column complaining that Trump is simply trying to feed his craving for macho spectacle. The waters are swirling. The murderous currents. They left out the sharks. Aren't there sharks in those waters? Well, that would be terrible for, serial killers and axe murderers and child rapists and kidnappers. That would be terrible. They might get bit by a shark if they tried to swim away. This is such a Trumpian idea. Here was Trump sort of waxing poetic, as Mediaite cynically put it, about reopening Alcatraz, the prison.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz. How will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out, it's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point.
The best part of that clip is that the camera has a 3-shot of the D.C. mayor, Muriel, I can't stop laughing. Muriel Bowser and the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell. And the two of them look like they want to crawl under the carpet. They want to dig a hole and bury themselves in it. She looks completely, utterly constipated. Goodell looks just lost. They were in the White House ostensibly to announce that, I guess the NFL draft is going to take place on the Mall or something in Washington, and I don't know. It was an NFL announcement of some kind regarding the NFL draft. And somehow the mayor of Washington, D.C., who's a Trump hater, and Roger Goodell, who I don't know what, they're standing behind him looking around like, what in the world am I doing here? How am I here right now? They're thinking of all the places they'd rather be, like the surface of Mars, at the bottom of the ocean. And there's Trump waxing poetic about Alcatraz. Leave it to the great Scott Jennings on CNN last night, who asked a reasonable question about reopening Alcatraz.
The idea of reopening a prison that's been closed for many, many decades because it just doesn't make sense to house people there. Why?
Well, does it? I don't know. He said he was going to study it. I mean, we have a prison overcrowding problem. You've been fussing about recently him sending American criminals overseas to their prisons. Don't we need more prisons in the United States? What's wrong with it?
Okay. Well,
I mean, what's the matter?
All right.
You know, I don't know if Scott was making a reference to Christmas Carol. You know the reference, right? Remember the line from Charles Dickens and Scrooge and A Christmas Carol? Are there no prisons? Are the workhouses not in operation? Well, we need more prisons. Why not Alcatraz? I just hope they rename it Magatraz. It's got to be Magatraz, not Alcatraz. But seriously, what is the problem with reopening? Why would the Trump haters hate this idea? What's wrong? I mean, if Alcatraz is too Trumpian, as somebody just texted Paul from Philly, what about Devil's Island? Oh, and forget the Birdman of Alcatraz. Now we've got the Orange Man of Alcatraz. Here's a text from Michigan. Democrats don't believe in putting criminals in prison, just political opponents. Somebody else said maybe the reason the Democrats are against reopening Alcatraz is they're worried they're going to wind up there. Tish James, anyone? Have you seen this Letitia James and her speeches? This woman is completely off her rocker, screeching and screaming about how she's Booker T. Washington. This is the scoundrel who campaigned on getting Trump, and now she's trying it again. Now she's ramping up another round of lawfare against Donald Trump. It's like she's not going to stop. These are some sick people. I was having to navigate through the Social Security website last night. Boy, it's glitchy and tough and complicated. I hit 65 a few weeks ago, and it's a weird feeling because dealing with Medicare can be just an absolute nightmare. First of all, you get overwhelmed. The phone won't stop ringing. The junk mail floods in, the fine print, the pressure. And so I started looking for anybody who could help me navigate the Medicare maze. I found it with Chapter. Their team walked me through everything step by step. They didn't push any kind of insurance plan. They weren't working for the insurance industry. They worked for me. Chapter is totally independent. They have a team of advisors who compare every Medicare option that's out there for you, and they make sure you don't miss anything. So look, if you're approaching 65, even if you're over 65, let them save you money. There's no pressure, no agenda, just honest personal help. I love this company. I want to get the head guy back on the show, Eli. These are great, or Ari rather. It's great folks. It's called Chapter. Dial 25 Medicare and connect with Chapter. That's the number, 25 Medicare. Easiest phone number in the world. They make Medicare simple. Chapter is different. Premiums for plans are dropping on average of 34%. If you're turning 65, if you're over 65, take control. Call Chapter today. You'll be glad you did. Dial 25 Medicare, Chapter 25 Medicare. All right, everybody on hold loves the idea of opening Alcatraz except Debbie in Houston. So let's find out what's on Debbie's mind. So you don't like the idea? Debbie? Hello, Debbie. Darn it, I wanted to find out what she didn't like about it. Let's try again. Hey, Debbie, are you there? All right, I guess not. I don't know. Oh, the phone bank is off. Oh, the phone bank was potted up. There we go. Hey, every time I go away for a day, somebody changes all the settings in here. Hey, Debbie, sorry about that. There you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm in major traffic.
Well, I'm glad to keep you company.
Right? I don't like the idea for two reasons. One is that they said, well, first of all, it's a historic landmark. And I would love to visit Alcatraz, and there'll be no more visiting Alcatraz.
Well, I don't know that taking it away as a tourist destination is a good reason. Incidentally, I've been. It's a great thing to visit. It really is fascinating.
And they're also saying that the money to rebuild it, I mean, why not just spend the money on a brand new prison?
Well, maybe it's cheaper to just refurbish the old one.
Well, if it's cheaper, great.
Yeah, I got it. Well, I mean, again, I really want more than just sort of an exercise in, well, what's a good idea? You know, Trump's point about how it's a terrible yet beautiful image, he's right. It is, on the one hand, I mean, it's off the coast of San Francisco. It's in the waters. It's kind of scary and ominous. But it's also kind of a grim reminder of what happens when things go bad, when you make bad choices, when things go wrong in your life. This is what, I mean, don't we want people who could be making decisions about their life to make good decisions rather than bad ones? Isn't it a good idea to show people what the consequences of their actions could be? Patrick Bet David has a very popular podcast, the PBD podcast. He was on Fox News Channel reacting to this big announcement about Alcatraz.
When you hear Van Jones talking about Democrats don't know what they're doing, they're losing the audience, the 80-20 position, they're always taking a 20% position. Crockett is now the face of it? Is that who it's going to be, the face of the Democratic Party? They're falling for this trap over and over again. And again, it's making him look like a guy that controls them. In an indirect way, he's the puppet master of the enemy because they're falling for his trap every single. He wakes up and I bet President Trump goes to sleep at night and wakes up in the morning and says, you know what? What am I going to say today to get under their skin? You know what? Alcatraz. Let's talk about it. Let's piss off the mainstream media and let's get distracted and go talk about that. Every day he keeps succeeding with these games he plays with them.
He makes a good point about how they fall for it every time. And I don't know if that's the goal or not. The Canada's 51st state thing comes to mind. I didn't get that. I still don't get it. Maybe Trump's threat got the liberal guy elected. I don't know. Carney, incidentally, is in Washington today to meet with Trump. The way the sympathetic mainstream media paints it, he's going to stand up to Trump. He's going to Washington to stand up to Trump. He's going to take him on. But this Patrick Bet David makes a terrific point. They fall for it every single time. And yet normal, decent people love the Trump presidency. Look at people who lost a child, the angel moms. Here was Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, pointing out what the angel moms are saying about the Trump presidency.
It's sad, truly, that we have to put mugshots of illegal alien criminals on the front lawn of the White House in order for the mainstream media to actually cover these stories. They should be covering them, but because they do not, we will put them right in their faces. And it drew a lot of attention, as it should. Last week at the White House, I met with angel mothers whose names your audience may not know because they are living in silence. They are living in a tragic circumstance where their children were taken away from them by illegal alien criminals. And no politician, they told me, until Donald Trump cared about their stories, cared about listening to them. So we had them at the White House last week for a listening session. We're going to continue to engage with these angel parents who have lost their children as a result of the Democrats' open border policies. And every day we are reminded by their testimony, their stories, the lives of their loved ones, law-abiding American citizens who should still be with us when we are mass deporting illegal alien criminals from our nation's interior.
It's Caroline Leavitt last night on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News, and she's right. Normal people are grateful This presidency is an epic, epic presidency. This is one of the most effective, jaw-dropping administrations we have ever witnessed. So it's really a fascinating thing to behold. And it's not just Republicans praising him. There's a Democrat named Tom Suozzi, right, Eric? Suozzi, who weighed in on what Trump has done with the border. Where do you hear this? This is coming from a Democrat. Buckle up.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.